Good evening. A day after the copyright amendment bill debate was adjourned due to a lack of quorum, LegCo President Singh met lawmakers to try and get the council to move forward. Meanwhile, Commerce Minister Greg So hastily arranged a meeting between Pan-Democrats and the Copyright Alliance, which he said was frank and had a good atmosphere. Vicky Wan reports.
A lack of quorum brought yesterday's second reading of the Copyright Amendment Bill to a halt, delaying it for another 2 weeks. LegCo President Singh held meetings with various political parties today to try and find a way for the council to operate smoother in the future. The gathering was prompted by the controversial issue of filibustering by quorum call. Several pro-establishment legislators met Singh first, but they didn't give any details of the discussion. Pan-Democrats were next. After the meeting, they remained defiant and will continue to support the stalling tactics in the chamber unless pan-democratic amendments are considered.
All they want are more exemptions so that their rights can be protected, so they would not be dragged to the courts. I think these are very reasonable demands. So it is up to Greg So, who is the policy secretary, to try to settle this.
People Power legislator Albert Chan and Raymond Chan and League of Social Democrats lawmaker Leung Kwok Hong talked to them separately. They said the LegCo president had indicated that he would limit discussion time for the bill. But the so-called radical lawmakers objected to the idea, saying the bill needed time to be scrutinized. After the meetings, Singh didn't say if he would curb filibustering, but said he would do whatever he could to get LegCo back to business.
We have 15, 16 bills still waiting for us to process. And there are other matters as well. And I'm going to make use of whatever mechanism the rules allow me to ensure the proper function of the legislature.
He added the Secretariat will study whether to hold additional meetings on the bill and called on lawmakers not to leave the chamber. But there was a dramatic twist later as the Commerce Chief Greg So suddenly arranged an urgent meeting between legislators and the Hong Kong Copyright Alliance at LegCo. The impromptu arrangement was blasted by some Pan-Democrats.
I can't guess his real intention. But it is a real stupid arrangement. It's totally unreasonable, and I don't think he had taken into consideration at the time that we had the Finance Committee meeting.
And this is, I think, very timely. We just heard this comment that they were not able to meet with them, and they would like to meet with them, so we make this arrangement as best as we could.
The head of Hong Kong's International Federation of Phonographic Industry, Ricky Fong, said the bill has already been thoroughly discussed and struck a balance for all stakeholders and wanted the bill passed. Vicky Wan, ATV News.
The Vice Chancellor of Hong Kong University says he's happy to see someone fill the vacancy of the council chairmanship, ending the uncertainty. But Peter Matheson did not comment on whether Arthur Lee is a fitting candidate for the post, but says he does not see academic freedom under threat. Raymond Young reports.
More than 3,000 Hong Kong University students, staff and alumni took to the streets on Sunday to denounce the appointment of Arthur Lee as chairman of the institution's governing council. The decision came despite overwhelming opposition by graduates and teaching staff in an earlier referendum. Vice-Chancellor Peter Matheson was more diplomatic on the issue, although he stopped short of saying whether Lee is a fitting candidate for the job.
The factors that they took into account in making that decision, they've talked about publicly, and I think the questions on that process need to be addressed to them, not to us. We're very pleased that the announcement's been made because it ends the period of uncertainty and it allows us to focus on the future and get on with working together.
It was widely reported that Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying had allegedly urged business leaders to stop donating to universities and instead lend their support to innovation and technology industries.
We never have enough funding. We regard community support as a very important part of our financial income. Government funding is not enough on its own. We need to raise funds from elsewhere, but also we need to involve the community and engage the community in our work.
Hong Kong's top university was embroiled in a storm last year when the council snubbed liberal scholar Johannes Chan to a key management post, despite backing from a selection committee. It was later revealed that Leung had met with Matheson in the weeks ahead of the decision, raising suspicions of political interference.
I don't regard academic freedom as under threat at the University of Hong Kong. I've talked publicly about that. We don't expect total autonomy because we're a publicly funded organisation, so it's perfectly reasonable that the public and indeed the government take an interest in our affairs.
Leung serves as the chancellor of the city's universities by default, but the role is regarded as largely ceremonial.
A teacher has been jailed for 10 months for spraying special needs primary 1 students in the face with an alcohol-based cleaning solution to punish them. The teacher says she only used the spray for disinfectant purposes. Arthur Akilla reports.
Anne Leung appeared in Chunmun Court today after being found guilty last month of punishing special needs students, some just 6 years old, by spraying their faces with alcohol-based hand cleaning liquid. She was a primary 1 teacher at the Po Leung Kuk Law's Foundation School in Yuen Long. A teaching assistant was among the witnesses called by the prosecution. The court heard that between September 2013 and July 2014, the teacher sprayed her students when they either drooled or cried. She was jailed for 10 months on 11 counts of willful assault, causing injury to a child. Leung had insisted she only sprayed the liquid on the children's hands and their surroundings for sanitation. But video footage captured her twice spraying a student who she complained was being noisy. The school reported her to police when the video surfaced. Arthur Akilla, ATV News.
Chief Secretary Carrie Lam told lawmakers today that the government may snub a universal pension scheme even if it has majority support. Her comments outraged lawmakers who accused Lam of being arrogant and already taking sides on the issue. Mo from Raymond Young.
The stage is set for a rowdy debate as Chief Secretary Carrie Lam briefed lawmakers on LegCo's House Committee about the government's public consultation on retirement protection. In her opening remarks, Lam denied using scare tactics to douse public interest for a proposal that will benefit both the rich and the poor. The government has warned it must expand the tax regime for the proposal to be sustainable, unlike another plan based on economic needs, which will limit expenditure by introducing an asset cap. When asked by social welfare sector lawmaker Chen Kwok-chi if the government will heed the public's wishes if 60 to 70% of people favor a universal pension scheme, Lam replied that a majority opinion may not necessarily reflect the best interests of the people. Her comments raised many eyebrows, including the People Power's Raymond Chan, who slammed her remarks as ridiculous. Unionist Lee Cheuk-yan also accused Lam of being arrogant, asking her to make a formal apology. Lam refused, adding she's used to such kinds of personal attacks and has become immune to all kinds of poison. She insisted it's her job to advise young people if they are willing to pay more tax and feed financially sound retirees like her if a universal scheme is adopted.
Overseas, French police are investigating a suspected terrorism-related incident in which a man tried to enter a police station wielding a knife before being shot dead by police. And the U.S. House of Representatives will vote on a bill to increase sanctions on North Korea, with Washington expressing hope that China will work with them on a response to its latest nuclear test. Here's Arthur Akilla.
The White House says it wants to work with China to respond to Wednesday's nuclear test carried out by North Korea.
The administration has also been in touch with Chinese officials, including the National Security Advisor, who spoke to the Chinese ambassador to the United States yesterday. Obviously, the nation of China wields more influence over the North Korean regime than probably any other country in the world. And we certainly want to work closely with them to determine an appropriate response.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said he had also discussed the matter with Foreign Minister Wang Yi.
At some length, we discussed various options and ways in which we should proceed forward. We agreed that there cannot be business as usual, and we agreed that we will work very closely together to determine the steps that we can take in order to address our increasing concerns about that nuclear test.
The House of Representatives says it will soon vote on legislation to expand sanctions against Pyongyang in the wake of the test, which saw scientists allegedly detonate a hydrogen bomb.
We understand the Republican leadership plans to move a bill strengthening U.S. sanctions on North Korea that will have strong bipartisan support.
South Korea says it had not yet considered shutting down the Kaesong industrial complex, which is run jointly with Pyongyang. Unification Ministry spokesman Jung Jun-hee says Seoul was not at the stage where it could determine whether to close the complex or pull out South Korean residents. Mourners gathered in central Paris to mark the first anniversary of last year's attack at the offices of satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. Last year, Islamist militants stormed the building and opened fire during an editorial meeting at the magazine, which is known for poking fun at religions and drawing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. 12 people were killed, including the magazine's top staff. The anniversary comes as police shot dead a man who tried to enter a police station wielding a knife and shouting Allahu Akbar. Police deployed a sniffer dog and a robot to examine the suspect's body at the scene. He had been carrying a mobile phone and a piece of paper with the Islamic State flag, with the claim of responsibility by the group written in Arabic. A huge bushfire in Western Australia has destroyed nearly 100 homes in a small rural town south of Perth.
It appears that we've lost around 95 houses, a number of structures within the town site, including some of the historical buildings, the workshops, some factories, and an impact at 70% on the demountable component of the local school. Also losses to post offices, adjacent stores, and our own bushfire fire station infrastructure.
The blaze torched some 53,000 acres of land this week, and emergency workers say it still poses a threat to other Western Australian towns. Arthur Ricchiola, ATV News.
Finance news now. Local stocks snapped a 4-day losing streak today. The Hang Seng Index rose 120 points to close at 20,453. Turnover was $85 billion. Markets across the border appear to have stabilized after mainland regulatory authorities suspended the circuit breaker mechanism last night. After a wild 4-day ride for mainland stocks, markets seem finally to have calmed down. This comes after the China Securities Regulatory Commission last night halted the plunge protection mechanism indefinitely. The Shanghai Composite Index finished up nearly 2%, but was down 10% on the week. The tech-heavy Shenzhen Index was up over 1% today, but down 14% over the week. The circuit breaker mechanism was meant to offer investors a cooling period when there were sharp fluctuations in the market, but it had the opposite effect. Instead, the mechanism exacerbated stock sell-offs and shut down equity trading early twice in 1 week. However, investors across Asia were still not feeling confident enough. Japan's Nikkei index closed down almost 70 points. For the first time since 1948, the Japanese market opened with 5 consecutive losing sessions. Australian shares fell for a 6th straight session, their worst start on record. But Korea's Kospi closed up 0.7%, recovering from a 4-month low. Here's the weather forecast for the next few days. It will be mainly cloudy tomorrow with bright periods during the day. Temperatures will range between 17 and 20 degrees. Cloudy on Sunday with added rain in the following few days. Here's a look at the weather around the world. That's all the news for now. I'm Harminder Singh. Thanks for watching ATV. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Current events, controversial issues, in-depth accounts of the latest news and happenings that impact us all. Get to the heart of the matter. Get the inside story. Friday night at 8.
Shut your mouth 'cause you're talking too much and I don't give a fuck anyway. Let yourself go, let yourself go, let yourself go. Let yourself go, let yourself go, let yourself go. Let yourself go, let yourself go, let yourself go. Gotta let it go, gotta let it go. Gotta let it go, gotta let it go.
Support the community chest. Join the Hong Kong and Kowloon Walk on January the 10th, 2016.
Their love never makes sense to anyone else. They hate each other, but they love even more. What's life without a little drama? Korean Hour, Heaven's Garden. Saturday afternoon at 5:30. The legendary chef Martin Yan cooks his way to Vietnam. Discover his new recipes and all the beautiful secrets about the exotic country.
Look at this pancake.
Follow Martin and let the delicious journey begin. Martin Yan's Taste of Vietnam.